What is up, my friends? Welcome back into Flippin' Bats. What a week it's been in baseball. We got a no-hitter thrown by Blake Snell. We'll talk about that. A historic losing streak by the White Sox. Probably could have guessed who that was, but we're going to talk today the AL MVP race. Bobby Witt Jr. against Aaron Judge. It's getting insane what those two guys are doing. So we'll talk about that. Shohei Ohtani in a historic 30-30 season already. A lot of numbers to talk about there. It's really, really historical what he's doing this season. Power rankings, first episode of the week. So we'll talk power rankings, but just kind of coming back down to earth in the baseball world after a crazy, crazy trade deadline week. So if you didn't listen to anything last week, had John Smoltz on Saturday to talk about the trade deadline. And then the day after the trade deadline had a big episode, top three winners, top three losers. So go check all that out. But it's been another good week, another great weekend of baseball. Seriously, a lot to talk about. One of those, Jackson Holliday. I was really high on Jackson Holliday this season. Spoke highly about him. Thought obviously that's not a crazy. It's not a brag. He's the number one prospect in baseball for a reason. But I wanted him to make the team out of camp, and he didn't end up doing that. Ends up getting called up and really struggled. And they ended up sending him back down and finally comes back up and has been fantastic since his call back up. Since he's come back, hitting 389 with 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 1.254 OPS. So it looks, all the hype around the guy, it looks to be coming true, and he's absolutely playing like a stud right now for the Orioles. So that's a lot of fun to see. Saw that over the weekend. Also, Chicago White Sox. I know I've said a million times I'm not going to talk about them, but if there's a team that's losing 20 straight games entering the new week, the White Sox have lost 20 straight. Now, they do play Monday at 6:40 p.m., and we release our first episode of the week on Tuesday overnight, like 3, 4 a.m. So this episode's already been recorded. The White Sox play at 6:40 p.m. Are they going to lose 21 straight? I don't know. But entering this new week, they have lost 20 straight games. First team to lose 20 games in a row since 1988. And only the 7th team in history to do it. The Chicago White Sox haven't won since July 10th. Think about that. It's August 5th we're recording on. August 6th, the day this episode comes out. They haven't won a game since July 10th. That's remarkable. You're playing almost every day in baseball. They haven't won in almost a month. Are you kidding me? I saw this statistic really sums it all up. And then we're going to move on and not talk about the Chicago White Sox. But if the White Sox have had both of the longest losing streaks in franchise history this year. They did it earlier in the season, 14 games straight. Longest losing streak in the history of the Chicago White Sox. They did that earlier. Then they won a couple games, and now they're in the midst of their longest losing streak in history. Again, topping earlier this season at 20 games entering this new week. So, the statistic, if you remove the White Sox 20-game losing streak and their 14-game losing streak this season, the White Sox still have the worst record in all of Major League Baseball. That is how bad the Chicago White Sox are. It is brutal. It is just a bloodbath out there. And we all know I'm not going to dive deep into it, but I am so frustrated at that front office. I feel awful for the players that are put in this situation. That front office is just a nightmare. So White Sox have lost 20 straight entering the new week. Also, good positive news. Blake Snell not having the best year to start. Obviously, coming off of a Cy Young campaign last year, signs really late. The season gets started. Everybody's wondering, are you serious? There's a Cy Young Award winner sitting out there. Nobody's signing him. The Giants finally signed Blake Snell. And shocker, without a spring training, it's tough for pitchers to be good. And he really struggled for a little while. But lately has been fantastic. And then just threw a no-hitter. Third no-hitter in baseball this year. Just the 5th reigning Cy Young Award winner to throw a no-hitter. This is pretty incredible company. Jake Arrieta in 2016, Clayton Kershaw in 2014, Bob Gibson in 1971, and Sandy Koufax in 1964. So Blake Snell joining elite company with that with those numbers there. He has been on a tear. He's just a third pitcher with 25 or more strikeouts, 2 or fewer hits, and 0 runs in a 2-outing span since at least 1901. Max Scherzer did it in 2015, Randy Johnson in 2001. So the stretch that Blake Snell has been on lately is quite historic, and then sums it all up with his no-hitter, which is awesome to see. I really feel like since Kevin Cash took Blake Snell out in that World Series game that he was dominating, everyone has talked about how and I think people blame Kevin Cash for that. But historically, Blake Snell hasn't gone deep into games. In fact, it's the first time pitching into the 9th inning in his entire career. And he throws a no-hitter. And it was cool after the game. They asked about it, just throwing into the 9th inning. And he said, they can't say it anymore. They can't say it anymore. Complete game, shutout, no-hitter, leave me alone. Doesn't go to the 9th, doesn't go to the 8th. You know how good that feels? Just did it. Leave me alone. And I absolutely love that out of Blake Snell. So the dude is absolutely shoving out on the mound right now. A few starts in a row. It's been about a month of really, really good pitching for Blake Snell. So it appears he is back in Cy Young form, which is a lot of fun to watch for him. So Jackson Holliday back, White Sox suck, and Blake Snell throwing a no-hitter. So what I want to talk about today is this AL MVP race that we got going on right now between Bobby Witt Jr. and Aaron Judge. And you might be saying, are you kidding me? But there's not much of a race. Well, there is. And Bobby Witt Jr. has been phenomenal over the last month, really since the All-Star game. There's been nobody on planet Earth that's been remotely close to him. In the last month of the season, he has hit .430 with a 1.176 OPS. Just one of 4 players in Royals history to have 25 or more runs scored and 15 or more extra base hits in a single July. So, I mean, he is now bumping his season numbers up. He's hitting .344 on the season. If these numbers were happening in New York City or Los Angeles, we would be talking about it a lot more than we have been. Bobby Witt Jr. has 20 homers, a 344 batting average, 25 stolen bases, and a 980 OPS on the season. He's also on pace for a 10-plus fWAR, which is insane. Look, to put that into context, since 2005. So from 2005 to 2023, only 4 players total have finished with a 10-plus fWAR. Aaron Judge in 2022, who won the MVP. Mookie Betts in 2018, who won the MVP. Mike Trout in 2013, and Mike Trout in 2012. So 3 players total, 2 of them being only 4 times total. 2 of them Trout, and he didn't win the MVP in either of those years. So 2 of the 4 have won the MVP. And this year in the American League, you have 4 players projected to finish with a 10-plus fWAR. Again, that's only happened 4 times in the last 18 years. And we have 4 players on pace to do that this year. Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt Jr., Gunnar Henderson, and Juan Soto. That's insanity what we are seeing right now. On the NL side, nobody's on pace for a 10-plus fWAR, and nobody's done it since 2004 Barry Bonds. So let's put that all into context. We have 4 guys in the American League doing what hasn't been done in the National League since Barry Bonds in 2004. Again, they're on pace to do it. Obviously, it's early August. It hasn't been done, but 4 players that are on pace to do it. Bobby Witt Jr. being one of those, Aaron Judge being another one of those. Bobby Witt Jr. is leading the league in WAR, by the way. So we can say, and we'll get into Aaron Judge, we can say what Aaron Judge is doing, blah, blah, blah. What Bobby Witt Jr. is doing absolutely deserves MVP conversation to be had around him and Aaron Judge. But on the contrary, let's talk Aaron Judge. 41 homers, on pace for 60 again. And these on pace numbers are after a abysmal first month of the year. So if you take what he's done from when he heated up until now, he's on pace to potentially hit more homers than he did a couple years ago when he broke the all-time Yankees record. So 41 homers, only player in MLB history with 40 or more homers and 100 RBIs in 111 games or less. He's at 100 RBIs already. July just ended, and Aaron Judge has 100 RBIs on the season. So Aaron Judge's career fascinates me because he got a later start to his Major League Baseball career. Obviously went to college, went to Fresno State, and then comes out of college, doesn't make it to the big leagues immediately. So a little bit older when he starts his career, but the tear that he's been on is absolutely historic. And he has 298 career homers in 946 career games. So he's right on the cusp of 300 homers in 946 career games. If that sounds like not a lot, it's because, listen to this, the fewest career games for a player to reach 300 homers. He's not there yet, but this is the fewest. Ralph Kiner has the all-time record at 1,087 games. So about 141 games, almost a full season more of baseball for the all-time record holder to reach 2 more homers than Aaron Judge has. Ryan Howard did it in 1,093 games. Juan Gonzalez after that. A-Rod after that at 1,117 career games. So Aaron Judge needs 2 more homers to reach that 300 mark. Obviously, this season alone, 41 homers, on pace to maybe hit more than 60. Here, my opinion on the matter, this is Aaron Judge's award to lose. There's really nothing Bobby Witt Jr. can do about it. I think the only hope for Bobby Witt Jr. to win the American League MVP is for Aaron Judge to slow down. At this point, there's nothing more Bobby Witt Jr. can do. You're going up against Aaron Judge, who's again going to track down the home run record. You're going up against Aaron Judge, who plays in New York City. He's larger than life, physically and for the city and what he means to the New York Yankees. He plays for the New York Yankees. You have a lot you're going up against. He plays in Kansas City, but if we're really just diving in on the numbers, they're just different players. And homers win you awards. And what Bobby Witt Jr. is doing, he's leading the league in WAR. But I really don't think he could continue to do exactly what he's doing. He's hitting 344. He's going to steal 40 bases probably. He's at 25. He's got 20 homers. Let's say he gets to 30 homers, 40 stolen bases, hits 350 on the year with a 1,000 OPS. If Aaron Judge keeps doing what he's doing, it's his award to lose, and there's nothing Bobby Witt Jr. can do about it. But there is obviously a chance that Aaron Judge slows his pace a little and hits around 50 to 50. Probably not 50. He's already at 41. Hits around 55 homers. Average lowers a little bit. Next thing you know, Bobby Witt Jr. out there in Kansas City with a Royals team that is shocking the world and pushing for a playoff spot with one of the best players on the planet, stealing bags, playing a great defense with a high OPS, a lot of homers, and hitting 350 on the year. Next thing you know, Bobby Witt Jr. is your MVP. But right now, with what he's doing in New York, there's nothing he can do about it. This is Aaron Judge's MVP award to lose, and he's pushing for another home run record. But we do have a race. That's all. That's what I wanted to focus on here today. Is this what we got going on? This isn't, oh, Aaron Judge can cool off for the last month of the season, and he'll be able to coast to an MVP. There's no more coasting to this American League MVP award. You have 4 players that are on pace for a 10 plus fWAR. It's only happened 4 times in the American League in the last 18 years. You have 4 players on pace to do it. Aaron Judge cannot slow his pace, or he will not win the American League MVP award, because Bobby Witt Jr., first and foremost, will have something to say about that. Gunnar, Henderson, and Juan Soto not far behind them. But we have a race for the most valuable player award in the American League. On the National League side of things, it's Shohei's to lose. He's going to win another MVP award at this point. He's going to become the first. Shohei Ohtani is about to become the first player in Major League Baseball history to win the MVP award as a designated hitter. It has never happened in history. And why is it going to happen? Well, one, a lot more of if he were still in the American League, probably not winning the MVP award this year. But in the National League side of things, he is by far the cream of the crop. The first 30-30 season of his career, he gets there in 111 games. His 111th game of the season, he reached 30-30 mark, first of his career. And I talked about it ad nauseum before the season. Yes, he's not pitching this year, but we will see a different Shohei Ohtani than we have ever seen. And I went on record saying Shohei was going to go 40-40 this year. Hasn't happened yet, but he reached 30-30 pretty quickly. He's at 33 homers on the season. And it's, again, historic. And that's why he is going to win the MVP award. He is going to be the first ever DH to ever win it, because he's not a typical DH. He's only DHing because his arm hurts and he can't throw. He can't pitch. He can't play the outfield. If he didn't pitch, he'd probably be playing the outfield. He's got an outfield glove just in case he can play it late in the season. Players with 3 or more seasons with 30 plus homers and 20 or more stolen bases since 2010. Mike Trout, Francisco Lindor, and Shohei Ohtani has done it in 3 of the last 4 seasons. 33 on the season, leads the National League in homers, 3rd in all of Major League Baseball in stolen bases. This 30-30 mark in early August, it's the earliest in a season that a player has reached the 30-30 mark since A-Rod got there in 107 games in 1998. For these numbers to sound historic, let me put it in context for you. Here is the list, the full list of players to reach 30-30 with at least 51 games remaining in the season. Shohei Ohtani this year did it with 51 games remaining, 33 homers and 30 stolen bases. A-Rod in 1998 with 33 homers and 30 stolen bases. 30 stolen bases. Did it with 55 games remaining. Jose Canseco did it in 1988. Eric Davis, 1987. Bobby Bonds did it as well. So, fewest games played to reach that mark. Fewest games played to reach 30 homers, 30 stolen bases in a season. 87 Eric Davis. Get this. 1987 Eric Davis reached the 30-30 mark 90 games into the season. 90. That's insane. Next closest is A-Rod in 1998, who did it in 107 games. And right after that, Shohei Ohtani, who did it in 108 games. Him and Bobby Bonds are tied at 108 games. What Shohei Ohtani is doing is historic. He's not pitching this year, and it is still one of the greatest seasons that we have ever seen. I have continually said, and I will get crap on this until the day I die, probably, how much I talk about Shohei Ohtani. I don't care. Shohei isn't even pitching this season. He's going to win the National League Most Valuable Player Award for the first time ever as a designated hitter. He's stealing bases more than he ever has in his career. He's not pitching, so he's doing other things to the best of his ability. He is the greatest talent that we have ever seen. If he's not doing this, he's doing that. If he's able to do this, he's doing it all. I really do become at a loss for words how good this player is. And I wish, my wish is that people were to stop taking it for granted. Stop shaming people that talk about him at length. This is, we are all going to look back one day and be grateful that we were alive when Shohei Ohtani played baseball. Honestly, I wish I was alive when Babe Ruth played baseball. If you were to ask me, man, if you could go back in time and watch one player, man, I mean, there's so many all-time greats. You know, the Willie Mazes of the world. Like there's so many players on the list of top players. But if you could go back and watch one player of all time play, I want to see Babe Ruth play. And we have the modern day Babe Ruth playing in our game, and he's the greatest talent that the game has ever seen. We're getting to watch him play. I feel grateful to watch him play. I will be able to tell my kids, I will be able to tell my grandkids, and they'll be able to tell their grandkids that I got to watch, and we all got to watch Shohei Ohtani play the game of baseball. And it was special. And he did things that nobody's ever seen before. And he's doing that again this year, even though he's not pitching. One of the fastest 30-30 seasons of all time, Shohei Ohtani. Incredible. First episode of the week. So we are going to talk power rankings. We got a big shift in the power rankings this week. We have a shift at the top. We have a big shift down at the bottom. So let's go through it. We haven't had a bunch of shifts lately. So we're going to go 10 through 1, the new and improved and updated Major League Baseball power rankings, starting at number 10. How about those Arizona Diamondbacks? They weren't ranked last week. They're 60-52 all of a sudden. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. They're hot. They swept the Nationals. They won 2 out of 3 games from a very good and playing really well Pittsburgh Pirates team who beat the Astros coming out into a couple weeks ago. Beat the Astros, then go out and lose to the D-backs. So next thing you know, last 10, D-backs win 8 of 10, swept the Nats, 2 of 3 from the Pirates, squeak into the top 10. They've been close for a little while now. They've been playing really good baseball. They get to the World Series last year, win the NL pennant. Next thing you know, they're not playing good ball to start this year. Really good right now. Next up, at number 9, the Kansas City Royals. Back in the top 10, not ranked last week, swept the White Sox, though everybody sweeps the White Sox, and won 3 out of 4 from the Detroit Tigers. Royals playing really, really good baseball. Got hold of a wild card spot right now in the American League. Next up, at number 8, the San Diego Padres, 61-52. They swept the Los Angeles Dodgers last week. They swept the season series took the season series from the Los Angeles Dodgers, took 2 of 3 from the Colorado Rockies on the week. So Padres have been playing much better as well. They also are in control of their own destiny. They also are in a playoff spot. And I just really like their roster. They are very talented. They improved their bullpen vastly. They have the best bullpen in the National League, if not the best bullpen in baseball. So I really like this Padres team, and they are back in the power rankings here at number 8. At number 7, the Milwaukee Brewers, down 2 spots from there where they were last week. Lost both series on the week. Lost the first one to Atlanta. Lost the second series to the Nationals. Had to bump them down a good bit. They are sitting pretty in the NL Central, but they are no longer in the top 5. They are here at number 7. At number 6, staying put, right where they were last week, the Minnesota Twins. Yes, they swept the White Sox, but again, everybody sweeps the White Sox. And then they lost 2 of 3 to the New York Mets. So just kept them put. Pretty good, fine week for them. Kept them put. Entering the top 5, the Los Angeles Dodgers here at number 5, down 2 spots. They got swept by the Padres. They won 2 of 3 against Oakland, but just nothing great, nothing to write home about. Not a huge movement, but I did bump them down a little bit to number 5. Up 3 spots. I'm going the New York Yankees. They've been as high as 1 this year. They've been really good. They've been as low as 7 or 8 this year. They're now back into the top 5 here at number 4. They swept the Phillies. Huge series after the trade deadline. The addition of Jazz Chisholm has been huge for them. You go into Philly, the best team in baseball all year long. You sweep them there. You win the weekend series against the Toronto Blue Jays, 2 of 3 against them. They're just playing really well. And I know when these get posted on Monday, they're a big talking point. And the Yankees are obviously a big part of that talking point. And if I needed to talk about my positioning, I'll talk about that with these last four because it becomes a big talking point. Yes, the Yankees have a better run differential than, let's say, the Baltimore Orioles, and their record is neck and neck. But let's not forget, we are 1 week removed from me still having the Yankees in like the 7 or 8 spot in my power rankings, bumping them down week after week, and Yankees fans screaming at me, "This team sucks. Get them out of the top 10. Yankees don't belong in the top 10." Now I continually have bumped them back up. They're here at number 4. And again, the reaction is, what are you doing with the Yankees at 4? They're so much better than everybody in front of them. Bump them up. What are we doing? If you want to have power rankings that vastly differ from week to week, make your own damn power rankings. But I'm not, a week of baseball obviously factors into it, but they're moving up 3 spots because they swept who was the best team in baseball and had a really good week. So I'm going to bump them back up. If this were my weekly power rankings, well, the Yankees would probably be 1. And the Philadelphia Phillies would probably be pretty close to number 30. But that's not how this works. You can't ask for your team to be out of it last week and then at number 1 this week. It's not how power rankings work. Let's move on to number 3. The Cleveland Guardians up 1 spot. They swept the Detroit Tigers, split the series with the Orioles, won the first 2, lost the last 2 against the Orioles. The Guardians are really good. They had a good week. Again, another important thing. I'm probably going to talk about positioning as we go on here. One thing I saw, how did the Guardians move up a spot while a team behind them in the division, the Minnesota Twins, gains ground on them, but they stay put? Really simple. Twins played the White Sox. Listen close. If you really need the explanation, here you go. Twins played the White Sox. Everybody on planet Earth beats the White Sox. And then they lost 2 of 3 to the Mets. To me, staying put makes sense. Guardians swept the Tigers, split the weekend series with a really good team. Dodgers played poor baseball, so they moved down 2. Guess what? For somebody to move up, somebody has to move down. For somebody to move down, somebody has to go up. And that's the Cleveland Guardians this week. Not that complicated. Having a really good year. Decent week of baseball, better than the Dodgers, so they moved up in the power rankings to number 3. At number 2, the first time out of the number 1 spot in a long, long time, the Philadelphia Phillies. Really bad baseball over the last week. A pretty bad series for them against the Yankees. Yankees weren't playing great. They come into town, big series, always is. Phillies, Yankees, 2 big teams, close geographically, a lot of Yankees fans in the stands. And the Phillies just got their butts kicked. Got swept in that series at home. Then they lost 2 of 3 to the Seattle Mariners. They've lost 8 of their last 10. So I believe in this team. I think the Phillies are very good, but their play of late has been bad enough to move them out of that number 1 spot down to number 2, the Philadelphia Phillies, meaning up to number 1, the number 1 team in the power rankings, the Baltimore Orioles. They have been right there 2 or 3 for a long time. The Phillies have separated themselves and then come back down to earth, and now they've moved themselves down a bit. The Orioles have moved themselves up. They beat the Blue Jays 3 of 4, split that weekend series against the 3rd best team in baseball, the Cleveland Guardians. They did enough, in my opinion, with the other teams not doing enough to bump themselves up. I don't like putting a team in the 1 spot, even if number 1 is struggling. If number 2, 3, 4 are also struggling, I don't like giving somebody that 1 spot after the team has been there for a while. With the Phillies playing really poorly and the Orioles winning an interdivision series against a rival and splitting a series against a really, really good baseball team in the Guardians, I felt it was enough to move them up to the number 1 spot. So the power rankings this week go: Arizona Diamondbacks, Kansas City Royals, San Diego Padres, Milwaukee Brewers, and Minnesota Twins. And then the top 5, Los Angeles Dodgers, Yankees, Guardians, Phillies, Baltimore Orioles, rounding out the top 10. I hope you guys checked out everything from the trade deadline weekend. The trade deadline was was wild. And if you're listening and don't know everything that happened, I did discuss the top 3 winners, top 3 losers. And again, if you didn't listen Saturday, go ahead and fire it up right after. It's the next one that's in the queue after this episode. But every single Saturday, Smoltz comes on and answers about 3 or 4 questions. It's about a 15-minute episode. It's a real quick hitters, fun, talking to a Hall of Famer, the biggest things happening, obviously with trade deadline happening. Talk to him about the winners and losers. And his winner of the trade deadline was a bit surprising to me because I thought they gave up a lot to do it. But go listen to that episode. I hope you listened to everything from trade deadline week because we sure had a lot of fun talking about it all. This week, also have Smoltz again every Saturday. Saturday with Smoltz coming out. This episode today. A lot of great baseball happening. We're coming. It's not yet the home stretch. We're still in the dog days of summer, but it's starting to. You're starting to look at the scoreboard. You're looking at the scoreboard. You're seeing what that second place team is doing. You're seeing what that first place team is doing. You're looking at that second and third spot in the wild card and seeing what those teams are doing. And it's that time of year. It's my favorite time of year. Major League Baseball playoff schedule just got released. So that becomes top of mind. A little bit different of a schedule this year, by the way. If you didn't see it, they bumped everything up a little bit. And then for the first time ever, the World Series is actually flexible. So if the ALCS and NLCS both end before 6 games, they're going to bump up the World Series a few days. So there's not that gap and teams are just sitting around knowing they're playing each other but can't yet play. So the dates are all bumped up a little bit. And then you have the flexibility to move up the World Series a little bit as well. But I could not be more excited for the playoffs this year. But before we get there, we got a couple months left of the regular season. August and September are left, and then we get the playoffs. So thank you all for listening to this episode. Please make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever. Make sure you're subscribed, hitting that follow button there. Also, leave a review, 5-star review if you want. Leave a comment if you want. It all does really help. And we're on all social media as well, including YouTube, where you can watch every single thing we do at Flippin' Bats Pod there on all socials. So make sure you're subscribed, following everywhere. We really appreciate it. And until Saturday with Smoltz, my friends, what a fun episode. Have a great week of baseball as well. And until then, my friends, remember, find your bat and flip it.